Hi, welcome to the Improved Garage YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button. So today, I've got the 2015 F56 Mini Cooper S, and we are going to be installing this. So this is a CravenSpeed adjustable short shifter. It comes with bushings and a new retainer clip, which I'll show you during the installation. And then this was an upgrade that I also purchased, which is a new retainer, which is supposed to be an upgrade over the factory one. So we're going to go through the instructions, we're going to get this installed, and I'll show you how to do it. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to remove the shift knob. And I did a video previously where I installed an aftermarket shift knob, and I've showed how to remove the factory shift knob. Now in my case, I have a BFI shift knob that is on here. So my end is going to unscrew. So I'll do that first. Okay, so I removed my shift knob. The factory one you just pull up on. But again, watch that video where I installed the BFI shift knob. If you have any questions, there is a plug down here that just pulls out, and then I'm going to have to remove this this boot. There's a zip tie here, and I've got a bolt here. You won't have that if you have the factory shift knob. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove this center console. So it looks like we want to start up front with there's a torx bolt kind of right where my finger is. So we're going to remove that from both sides. And then I believe that there's a bolt underneath here. Yep, there it is, that we need to get off as well. So I'm going to go grab a T15 and we'll work on that. So it's a T20 on both sides. Okay, so I got the T20s and these side plates out from both sides. I'm removing these T20s here on both sides, just like that. T20 down here on both sides. Okay, so in the rear cup holder, there's I have a little rubber thing, and there's a screw underneath that as well. Now underneath, we'll see another screw right here, which is what we're trying to get to. So we'll take this out. And down here under the covers, we have another two screws. I have the center console, and if you have this, it's a little bit different than CravenSpeed's instructions. So this lifts up and unsnaps. So we can kind of pull that out of the way. Then we'll see that there's a cover here, and this cover pulls forward like that. There's no snaps on the bottom, there's just snaps on the center, and it looks like there's so it's 12 or a 13 millimeter bolt right there. So pull that bolt out, but it's still in here. So let's look at the back. Yeah, okay. So, looks like this can come out. Okay, so there's a 13 back there as well. Okay, so this has a harness that comes down and plugs into behind the driver's seat here. So there's like a little retainer on the back where my thumb is, and this comes up, and this goes back like that. And then this should lift out like that. And then on this side, there are these two plugs. There appears to be something here, so I'm going to take the iDrive control out as well. Okay, so underneath the iDrive control, there's another screw. And the iDrive control has a harness as well. So it looks like this just pulls out like that. And then there's a bigger screw here. That's like a T25 maybe. And then this seems to come out. Okay. So this does not match the CravenSpeed instructions. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pull this back and lift this out. Here we are. So this is the assembly that I needed to get at. And basically what we want to do is we want to install bushings underneath these 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we also want to replace this shaft with a new shaft. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to remove this retainer right here, this metal clip that my finger's on. They tell you not to worry about breaking it because they give you a new one in a kit. So there we go. So I think rather than prying on this plastic piece, you want to just cut it off, kind of like I did, because if you ruin the plastic piece, you don't have a replacement one. So next, they tell you, so we need to replace this shaft and we need to replace these 4 bolts. So let's start off by taking these out. So these are 10mm bolts. I'm going to pull those 4 out, lift this up, and we're going to put the bushings underneath. Got those 4 removed. 2. What you're removing is this rubber piece that is in this hole, as well as the metal washer that sits below it. And you're replacing it with a bushing, and the bushing, when it's installed, looks like that. It's just flat. So we're going to do that for all 4. Okay, so we remove the factory bushings, and we install the aftermarket ones, and put the 10mm bolts back in. So next, we have to replace the actual shifter. So this can kind of come off the side once you remove that clip. And this has 3 retaining clips. So there's one here, and one here, and they all need to be bent back. So I got this out, and it really looks like a one-time use thing. Like I mean, this can go back in, but oh well, I guess it can't now. But my recommendation would be that if you're doing this, buy the CravenSpeed mount and don't worry about having to reuse this. So I'll get this the rest of the way out and out of the way. The last thing that we need to do is unhook this from the cable at the bottom, just right there. So we're going to pop that off with a panel pry tool. Cool. We popped that ball off. I just used this fork and kind of rocked it, popped it off the bottom. So now here's our factory shifter that can be removed. So next we're going to install our aftermarket shifter, and we can take this and set it next to the other one so we can have an idea of what it looks like. Now the aftermarket one is currently in the middle position, so it's adjustable up and down. So with it in the middle position, it obviously moves this down and moves that down. So let's get this in there. So to start off, we're going to take this ring and we're going to apply this rubber gasket, and this is going to go in there like that. So this snaps in there. This rubber gasket goes over this lip, like so. And then this can go back in the car. You want to be careful to keep that rubber gasket on there, and then drop it in the factory slot here, like that. Okay, so we've pushed that into place. Now what we need to do is we have to take this shaft that's down there and we have to put it on the ball. So there it is. We can snap it in with our fingers. So now it's in place, and that goes there. Okay. Now, next, we have to install our retainers. So with the new CravenSpeed retainer kit, they give you 3 of these metal tabs. So we're going to take those. Now we're going to take these, and these are going to go where the factory pegs went in. So there should be one right here. And it says that you might have to push down on this to get these in. Just like that. That's how you want them in. So there's one. And we're going to do the second one right over here. That's your new retainer. Now there's a cap that goes on here, and that cap gets screwed in with the hex screws that are included in the kit. So here are the hex screws, and here is the cap. So we're going to take that and we're going to screw these in. Okay. The amount of tightness that you put into those screws adjusts the amount of force required to move the shifter. So now we can put this plastic piece back on like that. Goes into place. There is a nylon piece that goes in over here, and then we have a new cap that has to go on. What we want to do for this is we want to find a socket that fits it closely. Looks like 18 is the winner. So we'll take this, and we're going to put it on here, and we're going to use this socket to seat it on all the way around at the same time. You might want to use a little hammer for this. So next we just need to start reassembling the car. So the center console is going to have to go in first. So the console's back in. I'm going to put in the iDrive next. This boot can snap back on. So we're done in there. So next my armrest goes in. These cables are going to have to go back to where they came from. Alright, so now we can screw in our rear cup holder pieces that we took out, and we can put this back together. So let's work on this, since it's our finished product. We want to put these bolts in and tighten them. Alright, so I got the boot back in. so let's talk. So I put everything back together, you know, starting from the front back. You tuck this, it wraps around here, and there's like a nub on both sides, so you have to kind of peel those out while you stick it on. There's two T15s in the front and a T15 up high on both sides. Under here there's a T20, and then there's two T15s that hold in the iDrive system. Make sure that you route the blue harness here to plug this in. There's a blue and a white. They're similar plugs. The blue goes in here, the white is for this. For this, you know, you put your knob back on, put your shift boot on. There's a zip tie in the kit to attach your shift, your boot to your knob. I like the flat zip ties. I talked a little bit about that in my video where I installed the BFI. I'm in the lowest position right now. Then going backwards, there are two T15s that hold this in underneath this. Two 13 millimeters, one here and one on the back side, hold in my center console. And then the back console portion has a T15 on both sides and one up high in the center. Once all of those are in, this can be snapped back on, and there are T15s here and here, both sides of the rear cup holder, and then one in the top of the rear cup holder. So now that we're through that, let's get our seat adjusted and let's talk about why we came here today. So I am going to have to play with the tension on this. I have it pretty loose and it's not quite centering, but I think that the more I drive it, the more that I'm shifting and using it, I think that it's going to wear in a little bit. So I left it a little on the tight side. I have it in the lowest position. The throw feels really good in the lowest position. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You know, I am still centered for third. I'm still left for first and second. I'm still right for 5 and 6. Reverse is accessible. Everything seems fine. So we'll take this for a drive and we'll see how it actually drives down the road.